Watch and burn.
Hey everybody, so tonight I want to discuss Children of the Corn 3, and this is Urban Harvest. This came out in 1995. Now this one, although pretty much every single sequel to the Children of the Corn movies haven't been the greatest, had they chosen to stop making them after this, it would have been a really good way to end them, because even though I guess I have to frame it then as being a trilogy, and the second one isn't much of a movie like the one with Terrence Knox, so I don't love having to refer to this as what would be a trilogy, but it would have ended out the trilogy well, I suppose. In this one, what it's about is a kid named Eli and Joshua, two brothers. They are picked up by an inner city Chicago family, bring them out to the city of Chicago to sort of urbanize them and give them a new lease on life, because they, of course, were involved with the Gatlin, Hemingford sort of Children of the Corn massacres. So this family fosters them into Chicago, and they try to shoehorn these two very different kids into a more urban lifestyle where they go to school and they have friends, and there's there's inner city culture and such, which these sort of essentially Amish kids to everybody else, they don't have a clue about any of this. Joshua, the older brother, sort of acclimates really well and he makes friends. But Eli, as it turns out, he is sort of he who walks behind the rows in this. It's later discovered throughout the course of the film that Eli hasn't aged since 1964, which is something the series hadn't done up until this point, and if I'm not mistaken, hadn't done since. So that's kind of weird. But I like the characters in this. I believe them as much as I can. I mean, I also love how, had this movie ended the series of them, it would have ended the world potentially, because Eli's corn that he is oddly enough growing in an old abandoned factory in Chicago somewhere, the corn just grows itself. Oh, that's a dog. Okay, so the corn just grows itself anywhere, so he's growing it in this abandoned factory, and his foster father is this dude who's got like a lot of shipping power, and that's what he does for a living. And he's like, he tries this thing of raw corn. He's like, oh, it's so good. And I'm like, it's cold. It's factory corn. Like, what are you biting into this for? At least heat it up, you know? And he's like, we gotta ship this around the world. But see, the thing is, when the kids eat the corn, they become one with he who walks behind the rows. So the movie concludes with Eli's demon corn being shipped all around the world. So like I said earlier, had this ended them here, it would have been awesome because the corn would have taken over the planet. But they had to keep going for some reason, with the one with Naomi Watts and then Eva Mendes and then Isaac's Return with the sixth one. So that didn't make much sense. Charlize Theron's in this for a quick shot. She has no speaking, she has no lines. This is not a speaking role, you see her face. If I'm not mistaken, it's at the 1 hour, 16 minute and 17 second mark. You see her face very plainly, as well as Nicholas Brendon, who played Xander from Buffy. He's in this for 2 seconds as a basketball player in the background. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. This is very cool. The movie's not perfect. The monster at the end, they didn't have a lot of money, needless to say. The movie is fun. I wish it had ended here, because the movie, like I said, it concludes with Eli's evil corn being shipped out to the rest of the planet, which I thought was very cool. But the coolness is knocked down considering that they made a bunch more after this. So that's where I'm leaving it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me while I discussed the third Children of the Corn, which is Urban Harvest from 1995. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But most importantly, please don't forget that the world is actually a better place because you're in it. I'm gonna go because it's getting cold. I'm worried about he who no, I'm not. That's stupid. I'm just gonna go. Have a good night.